The key piece about science, in the West, we're thinking scientifically. Science is about finding causality, whether it's psychology or sociology or biology or physics. Somehow, we're trying to understand how one variable impacts another variable. And in a class like sociology, we're really trying to understand what makes human beings tick. What makes us think the way we do and what makes us act the way we do. And how is it that some groups are different than other groups? What's behind it all? This is the complexity of life. What I'm actually saying right now might be the only useful thing that I will say all semester. In the world of sociology, or in the social sciences, we're trying to understand causality of human behavior. What leads people to behave in the ways in which they do? So, for me, as an example, how is it that I'm up here as a college professor? But you want to put all those factors and forces together and see if those things can explain how it is that I got right here as a college professor. And we're always doing that. We're trying to understand, why is it that some people are homeless? Why are some people rich? Why are some people poor? The world of social science leads us to those questions, that we're seeking causality, always. Why? Some of you have friends who maybe are hooked on Oxy, let's say. Maybe you have friends who died from Oxy. Maybe you have family members. Maybe you have parents. What led them and not somebody else? So maybe you have a group of friends, and some of your friends are addicts and others aren't. And maybe, you were doing the same things that they did, and they just kept going down this path, but you stopped. But they kept going. Why? What's the causality? Is it biological? Is it something in them? How many hours of conversation have you spent asking the question, why? Rolling over everything in your brain, but what about this, and what about that, and it could have been, and then somebody else enters the conversation, and you start going in a slightly different direction. You're all seeking causality. It's the world of psychology. If you've ever been in therapy, you sit and you talk to a therapist because you're really trying to understand yourself and how to get here and what am I doing here and how to happen. And so in sociology, what we're doing is trying to understand large patterns of behavior for lots and lots of people. Causality can be divided into two things. So here's this line on the floor right here with this cable. On one side, we have choice. These are all the things that we do to ourselves. So your friend who committed suicide, in the end, they made a choice. It's all about choice. That's the stuff on this side. And over here, it's not about, it's factors and forces outside of our control. Study more. Wait, I can't really study more because I'm holding down 3 jobs. Why am I holding down 3 jobs? Because both my parents got reduced work hours and they can't pay for my college like they used to be able to pay for my college. I'm working 3 jobs. I'm working 35 hours a week. I can't study anymore. It's not about me. I would choose to study. I'd love to be over here in making that choice to study. I got to put more hours in. Come on, I took my Social 19 quiz and I only spent 3 hours reading 5 hours worth of stuff. That was such an idiot. I could have just, And so for one person, that's it. Yeah, I'm an idiot, man. I just chose to hang out with my friends the 2 nights before the quiz, and I didn't do all the readings, and I didn't do really well. And another person down here is I wish that was my problem, but my problem is I'm working 35 hours a week. One thing after another after another. Everything is about choice. Why am I a college professor? How much of it has to do with my skin color? How much of it has to do with the fact that I'm a man? I made some serious decisions because I'm working class. I pay for my own school. It's tough. You know what I mean? Man, I didn't go to 6th grade summer camp because my mom couldn't afford $10. And today, that would be $30. I was working full time at the age of 14. And I had my first business when I was 12 years old. I was paying for my school clothes when I was 12 and 13 years old. So obviously I made a lot of decisions to get here. But what about all the things that decisions I didn't make? My brother got me a job when I was 14. That's nepotism, right? So I'm white. How much does that help? How different would it have been? So I'm working class. I wasn't destitute poor. So yeah, my mom couldn't afford the $10 to send me to camp, but whatever, I had a roof over my head. I made a lot of choices to help me get here, but there were other things that were in place that really helped me out. Like when my father died, our house, my parents had bought a house and it was paid off. And how much of the fact that they were able to even get a loan to buy the house had something to do with the fact that they were white. And you see, choice and chance, they go together all the time. It's choice, it's chance. And we live, here's the key, my friends, we live in a bifurcated world whereby it's almost impossible to stand right on this line all the time. That we either go to choice or we go to chance. Because there's not a single issue that's not both choice and chance. Yeah, I'm here because I made a lot of choices to be here. There were a lot of things that I got that I'll never know about. And I made decisions. And I got benefits. One thing after another. You see how it goes? Choice, chance. So in the world of race relations, one of the things we're struggling over is why do some groups have more power than other groups? Why do some groups have more advantages than other groups? What accounts for that? What's going on? The police. Yeah, are the police really an obstacle to black and brown people? To what degree do the police systematically engage in racist, discriminatory behavior that across the board harms the lives of large numbers of black and brown people? To what degree? This is a question. We're looking at it. Is it choice? Is it chance? What goes on? So yes, another black man is beaten up or harmed or worse yet, killed by the police. What's the first thing we do? We ask, what did he do? Down here in the world of choice. Other people down here go right to, of course, the police are a racist institution and we see this all the time. And it's like, yeah, okay, yep. So we see it, we're more likely to see it. The police bringing harm to people who are black and brown than bringing harm to white people. But it doesn't happen all the time. And so how do you sit with that? How do you manage that? You see, this comes into play all the time, everywhere. If you can sit here in the center and hold these two things and know that every time you get in an argument about anything related to human behavior, you're arguing about causality.